Hi. So, uh, my entire living room is kind of a disaster right now. Thankfully, it's 3 in the morning, so Nicole is asleep because if she saw this, she'd be like, so I'm up late. She's in bed. Kids are asleep. I don't have a baby down here gonna get into anything. And I'm playing around with stuff because we've got a fun weekend ahead of us. Me and my buddies and my kids, excluding Alan because he's just starting to walk. Besides him, it's going to be me, my buddies, my dad, and 2 kids. And we're heading to a lake that was actually really good last year to us. And I'm hoping that we can get on the fish good again this time. Really good pike in there. Very thick, fat pike. Also thick, fat perch. So we're going to have tip-ups set up. We're also going to have lots of holes drilled across the ice. It's going to be just a minefield of holes to hop because the perch are always on the move. I do have something new to implement for that to try to get them to slow down and hang out for a little bit. My dad and I had an idea for the last I don't know how many years to create portable structure or cover for the fish to flock to when you put it into the water. So I took decorative plastic plants that you can find at Michael's, or you might even find it at like a Goodwill or something if somebody was getting rid of it. But it's like garland if you want to think of it that way. But this isn't. It doesn't look like pine needles. This is more like they're leafy, but they're 6 foot long. And I put Dacron down them and tied it every every foot or so. I tied it really tight onto those pieces of plastic plants, and at the bottom there's an egg weight. I think it's a couple ounces, and then at the top I've got a swivel, and so like we've got 3 tip-ups that are extra that we don't usually use because they've kind of fallen into disrepair a little bit. Works good for that, for attaching the plants to it, and then you can pull the line, run it down however deep you want it, which is also good to have because if I had it set at a certain depth and it wasn't able to pull, and a big fish, say a pike, was to come in, hit our baits, and then run into the structure, it could hang up, we could lose the fish, it could wreck our stuff. Wouldn't be so bad if the fish swims into it and then this is able to pull free because it's a tip up, and we end up catching the fish with all this tangled in it. Yeah, it's going to be a mess, but most likely we're not going to lose the fish and we're not going to lose our stuff. So it works out that way pretty well, of having the line on a spool. We can run it down as deep as it needs to be, and then it's set so that it won't fall down, but if something goes into it, it can free spool out. So that's good. Something else that I am playing around with, because we're going to have tip-up set, and I don't want to miss any because the flag has been up for God knows how long, and we were busy hopping holes for the perch, and then a fish either swallows it too far and then we end up having to keep the fish, which I don't like keeping big pike. My like end cap, I don't usually like to keep any over 27. So it happens sometimes I've had to keep a 30, 32 because she got it down deep in her gills and it ripped her gills when we set the hook. It happens. We didn't waste the fish. We made sure that we ate it. But I typically don't keep pike that are over the 30-inch mark. I just don't. 27 is usually like my cap. So we don't want that to happen. So to help with that, because a lot of times you get busy and you don't realize that a flag has popped up, we used to do this. We used to have, and still do actually, we used to have our tip-up set up like this. So fish grabs it, flag goes up, okay, it dings a little bit, right? Sometimes we're laughing and we don't hear that happen. It's pretty subtle, especially when you're out in the open, or you know, cars could be going by. If we're anywhere close to a road, a lot of times in some of my videos you'll hear sirens going off because there's been an accident somewhere, and so there's always outside sounds happening when we're fishing. So instead of there just being a visual and an audible sound for a brief second, and you got to hopefully hear it, instead of that, there's another idea Dad and I had that we have not done, and I decided to finally create it. Dad and I thought about a way to make sure that we can hear when a fish is on the tip up and it's running. So anytime that fish moves, it's going to make a sound. Putting it on the flag doesn't do that. So I took some bells that they actually attach onto rods. You can cinch it down and it'll attach to the rod, so then when a fish hits, it'll ding at you. But instead of that, I decided to take electrical tape and I taped it around the shaft of the tip up here, and I took it around this part that pivots, because I wanted it to move with that so that it would fold down. So see, now I can fold the tip up down and I don't have to worry about them being up in the way of anything and getting caught on stuff. They fold down nice, and then I know that they're always going to be where they're supposed to be by doing that, because they follow the trigger. So now that those are there, this is awesome. I'm so excited for this. So tip up set, right? Pike comes along and then he stops for a little bit and he eats, and then he runs again. And the cool part is, this is going to allow us to know whether that fish is moving fast or a little bit slower, taking their time. This is going to hopefully be a game changer for us for tip-up fishing, because so many times you'll have fish that'll spool all of the line off, and then I get up to the hole and instead of it sitting like this, it's sitting crooked because the fish has almost ripped it down into the hole. I'm honestly surprised this hasn't broken yet because of that, but now we'll be able to hear anytime the fish moves, it'll do that. So like I said, if they're moving slowly, we can tell that it's going slowly. It's a different jingle. If it moves fast, we know that fish is hauling. So I am now changing over. If I can't do all of them, I'm gonna at least do most of them, most of our tip ups that way. I don't know how many of these bells that I have, but I'm gonna make sure that I utilize any that I have to do this, because I think it's gonna work. So we're gonna find out. Stay tuned. This weekend there's going to be new stuff happening. We're going to try to use the underwater structure, the removable plants that we created, and we're going to use these tip-up bells in a different way than what we have ever used. So it is exciting, and I'm hoping that the fish cooperate. That's the main thing. We just need the fish to cooperate. If the fish cooperate, it's going to be a great time. I know we're going to have a fun time anyway. Having the kids out, having my buddies with, my dad, it's going to be a fun time. But it's way more fun when you're chasing flags and you're hopping around holes and catching perch. And it'd be awesome if the perch held in one spot on those green plants. And we're going to find out. I'm going to put the underwater camera down. We're going to put the AquaView down. See what the fish see. And you never know what'll happen. So, check it out. Like and follow and subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're also on Facebook, Northern Hoosier Outdoors. Check it out and come and have some fun. Good luck out there, guys.